Rogers Stadium, Fort Worth, Texas. We welcome you all who just watched Penn State and Purdue go final. Jason Benetti, Kelly Stauffer, Paul Carcaterra is on his way. He was just 800+ yards away from the stadium. The same distance that Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback for Texas Tech, accumulated last week in a loss, 66-59 to Oklahoma. Jason Benetti, Kelly Stauffer along with you, and Clark will be here shortly. Kickoff on the way, Texas Tech and TCU in the Big 12. And Texas Tech will have it from the 25-yard line. Patrick Mahomes, 819 total yards. Exactly how far is that is the question. Well, it's 378 of the tallest Texas Tech players on the roster. It's 26+ NCAA basketball courts. He's a baseball guy, as you heard Clark say, 40.5 trips to the mound. And if you're into the animal area of our world, 22 of the largest blue whale and 409 giraffe necks is what Patrick Mahomes put together last week.
I love the giraffe necks right there. That finished really well.
409.5 giraffe necks is what.
That's a lot of giraffe necks.
They throw it 71% of the time, most in the FBS. The top offense in the FBS, 640 yards a game, embarks here from the 25-yard line. Mahomes is incomplete, and it's second down.
So many times, Jason, we're going to see today, Texas Tech runs out of an empty set. 5 quick receivers into the pattern at the same time like they did it on first play. Gary Patterson has some decision-making, obviously, to do on the defensive side. Do we get pressure? But Mahomes' best play is when he avoids pressure and gets outside the pocket.
And a scramble mode is dangerous. They only rushed 3 this time, and Mahomes is complete to Jonathan Giles. His favorite target is 54th grab, and it's 3rd and long, which Texas Tech has been the best in the country at 3rd down, 59%.
Unbelievable, 59%. Their average line to make is 8.2 yards. So it's an insane number to begin with, but when you have over 8 yards on average, it absolutely doesn't make any sense.
Mahomes on 3rd down. 3 coming. He goes over the middle, and there's that first down. They get 11, they needed 9, and Texas Tech moves the sticks. Tony Brown, who's in for Devin Lauderdale, who did not make the trip, has the first down.
TCU that time only rushed 3. They dropped 8 and are trying to force Mahomes to make quality decisions, be patient in that passing game, and that time he was, and converting, finding Tony Brown.
He's got a fullback in this time. That's Mason Reed, along with a freshman running back, DeLeon Ward, and this will be another throw for Mahomes. Moved the feet a little bit and got it across the 45-yard line for Ian Sadler, very close to the marker. This is the opposite of Michigan State's opening drive from earlier against Michigan.
Yeah, throw the ball as much as you can. Michigan State pounded Michigan early in that game.
There is our first run today, and DeLeon Ward navigates across midfield. First down, Texas Tech, averaging over 50 points a game, 2nd in the country.
And Texas Tech will go fast when they're converting and moving the chains. The problem is they haven't been able to go fast enough because they haven't been efficient enough. Their big plays are certainly what's on the table here today, as it was last week against the Sooners.
Mahomes, 2,200 first half pass yards. And he's got another completion across the 45-yard line to Cameron Batson, his 42nd grab.
So what you're going to see is the RPO like we saw on that, the run-pass option. Is it a zone run between the tackles? If you react to that as a TCU defense, then Mahomes throws it outside.
Those first half pass yards, by the way, would be 14th in the country overall if they were his season total. Mahomes out of the backfield, Ward, and DeLeon Ward, little sidestep just short of the 35-yard line. Very close to the marker, and our impact players.
Yeah, Jonathan Giles is the touchdown maker, 11 on the year. He's the big play target for Mahomes down the field. And then James McFarland and Josh Carraway are the edge setters. Texas Tech's biggest and best play offensively is when Mahomes avoids the rush and gets outside the pocket. Those two defensive ends have to keep the quarterback Mahomes inside the pocket today. Easier said than done, by the way, Jason.
Yeah, that's no fun to try and execute that game plan. It is a first down for Texas Tech, and Mahomes will throw on first down. Loads of time, scramble mode, and he is taken down a half-yard behind the line by Aaron Curry, who had 4.5 sacks coming in.
And James McFarland, one of those defensive ends that we just talked about, did a good job of forcing Mahomes up in the pocket. That's the key. Defensive ends have to run a long edge and force Mahomes up in the pocket. And TCU, I think, has the advantage at the defensive tackle position, with Aaron Curry in particular being a difference maker.
Nebraska transfer Curry with a sack that time, officially a loss of 1. Mahomes fading, throws it, and it is intercepted at the goal line. Mahomes picked off for the 7th time this year. It's Nick Orr in coverage for TCU, his 4th pick to lead the team.
That's the exact kind of play that Oklahoma did not make many times last week.
This time, Orr does the trick for TCU. Usually an opportunistic defense. The opening turnover goes to the guys in purple at home. Here today, what we're seeing, 2 quarterbacks who are the sons of former Major League pitchers. Kenny Hill, the son of Kenny Hill, the Cy Young runner-up in 1994. 14 years in the MLB. Pat Mahomes, most of the time a reliever at the end of his career, played in the World Series in 2000. And his son, Patrick, just threw an interception. Kenny Hill, the quarterback for TCU. And because no momentum was taking Orr into the end zone, TCU has it at the 1-yard line and will run the ball with Kyle Hicks, very talented dual threat, gets 5. 2nd down coming up. Mahomes and Hill, by the way, played a little baseball together, travel team baseball back in the day. Kenny Hill being
staff that would have been.
Oh my goodness, Kenny Hill from Southlake, Texas, and Mahomes from White House, Texas, and East Texas. Couple of weeks together, and they got to know each other, and here they go as the sons of former Major League pitchers. 2nd down for Hill in the offense, and we see Hicks one more time, picking his way through, and a nice run by Hicks for a first down. The junior moves the chains.
And all we can say about Kenny Hill, and he is the dual threat guy, and he is a viable runner of the football in that quarterback read game. But the best player on offense for TCU is Kyle Hicks. If he doesn't touch the ball in some way, shape, or form 25 to 30 times, I think the play callers for TCU haven't done their job well today.
Doug Meacham, Sonny Cumbie, the co-offensive coordinators for TCU, with Hicks out, limping off. Travaris Johnson has come in, and Hill will throw high for Taj Williams. 2nd down, TCU. Not a bad offense in its own right, about 36 points a game.
No, and that was a really good decision and a very quick decision by Kenny Hill, and that's where he has to live today, Jason. Sometimes he's been a little undecisive, and there's Hicks coming off, and that will be huge if he can't return, but we'll wait and see on that. But Kyle Hicks is the difference in the run game. The run game ability by TCU takes bullets away from Pat Mahomes on the other side.
Travaris Johnson on the run, and Malik Jenkins drags him down. Kyle Hicks is one of 5 guys nationally over 500 yards rushing, 300 receiving.
And he is a tremendous, not just a running back catching balls, he's a tremendous, almost next level route runner. I mean, he runs routes against linebackers and safeties like wide receivers would. So that will be huge depending on the health right now of Kyle Hicks.
Kenny Hill goes empty on 3rd down and 7 for TCU off the Texas Tech turnover. Hill over the middle and a jumping grab. Desmond White in traffic just short of the 30-yard line, gain of 15, 1st down.
Desmond White jumping inside of Johnson, the safety that particular time, and that was the outlet receiver for the pressure that Texas Tech was bringing defensively that time.
Texas Tech, the 2nd worst defense in the country, allowing 530+ yards a game behind defensive coordinator David Gibbs, just getting his feet wet in that spot. Hill breaks down on the run and zigzags past Chris Williams, the defensive end. It's a gain of 5. Colin Hill, the other end, stopped him.
TCU showing their desire to go fast today as well.
Johnson sets up a 3rd down and a couple. Well, look, Gary Patterson has really morphed as a coach since TCU entered the Big 12.
And I think he saw the writing on the wall. He went out and basically got the air raid offense in the form of Doug Meacham and Sonny Cumbie to come here. And it's worked very well. The last 2 years are the most points scored in school history. Couple that with the defense that Gary Patterson already plays.
3rd down for Hill. Quick set to the outside. Deontay Gray and a 1st down. Clark.
That's the down you want Kyle Hicks on the field if you're TCU. He's like a Swiss Army knife. Jason, you mentioned 500 yards rushing, 300 yards receiving, only 5 players nationally. Right ankle, could hardly put any pressure on it right now.
And so it's Shewo Olanolua on the run for a 1st down, and that's a nice replacement. The freshman out of Kingwood High School gets 11.
And regardless of who carries it, the run game for TCU means something much different than the lack of the run game does for Texas Tech. One team desires to establish and be somewhat balanced, which is TCU. Texas Tech doesn't care about the run game much at all.
Run it again. Olanolua dragging tacklers to the 40. I don't know that you want to be Northwestern today. That's not the team you want to be wearing purple after Ohio State's loss. Oh boy. 1st down, Olanolua tackled by Jenkins, and there's the run game for TCU.
Run game equals ball possession, and that's what TCU wants to do against this high-flying, needless to say, Texas Tech offense.
Which just substituted. Texas Tech defensively did. Johnson out as a safety, and there's a line drive to Daniel Walsh, who got his 1st start last week. He led the team in targets, a kid from San Diego who came here because of LaDainian Tomlinson's career.
And dependable. That's why Walsh is in there. There have been some miscues between quarterback and a receiving court that he doesn't know very well. And they're picking up the pace the more the season progresses, and Daniel Walsh is one of those dependable, trustworthy guys out there.
Watch the guy in the slot at the bottom of your screen. Kevontae Turpin, back from injury. One of the leaders on this team in terms of yards per touch. Back for the 1st time since September. It goes that way, but it's Walsh sitting down to make the catch just short of the 10-yard line. And Daniel Walsh knocks down 7 yards.
And I like the decisiveness right now of Kenny Hill. Remember, this air raid offense is based on taking what the defense gives you, which typically means you can make really quick decisions and get the ball out on time, and that's what Kenny Hill is doing currently.
Michigan transfer Derek Green is in, and the former Wolverine, Green, very close to the 10-yard line. Kevontae Turpin has been out, as we mentioned, injured in that Iowa State game. He was leading the nation in all-purpose yards per game after a pair of weeks.
Gary Patterson told us that his offense needs to get their swagger back, and Turpin is their swagger guy. They actually have Terp touches. How many times can we get little number 25 to football today?
3rd and short, read option. Hill has the 1st down inside the 10-yard line. Malik Jenkins pressed into action again for the tackle with Justice Nelson. 1st and goal.
Jason, this is when I think TCU's offense is at their best, when Kenny Hill is a viable option in the run game, and we see it right there. Making a really good decision in that run game and getting around the edge in that quarterback read play.
Green and Johnson both in, and it's Green one more time. Got about half the yardage as TCU's put together 8 1st downs on this drive that started at its own 1-yard line.
And this is where you have to see how TCU is going to finish drives. Kyle Hicks is typically their drive finisher. It looks they're going to go to more of a wildcat type offense right now with Kenny Hill out wide to the left.
Olanolua, the freshman running back, is back there with Green. And it's Green on the run, on the direct snap. Touchdown, TCU, Derek Green. Well, One way to neutralize a record-setting offense is to go 99 yards on 17 plays.
99 and maybe even a half, and you take your quarterback out wide and you put another pounder running back up inside, and Green leads up inside and they pay it off. But what a way to start. All of that time, a guy named Patrick Mahomes is on the sideline. That's the best of all of that.
Just cooling his heels with that Texas Tech offense that averages 50 points a game. An interception for the TCU defense trying to mount the turnover numbers. They haven't happened as frequently this year for TCU's defense. They get one here, then Green into the end zone on the touchdown to cap a 99-yard drive. Kelly, it's the 25th anniversary of Boo at the Zoo, a Halloween-themed activity for children at the Fort Worth Zoo.
That looks like a lot of fun.
You're going to go.
Where was the giraffe? Didn't we have like 78 giraffes or something earlier in the show?
Well, you can't spell giraffe
We
without
have 40
riff.
of them. Boo at the Zoo, I like it.
What are you going as for Halloween this year, huh?
I'm going as a guy who sits in his lounger on the ranch.
That sounds like a by experience sort of costume.
We don't have neighbors. We can't trick or treat where we come from.
Welcome back to Fort Worth. Last year's game was a barn burner, to say the least. TCU comes off victorious with a 55-52 score. The last play of the game was incredible from a TCU standpoint. I'm joined with these two TCU legends. Josh Dotson, currently playing with the Washington Redskins, Aaron Green with the LA Rams. And I'll start with Josh. Josh, 18 catches on the afternoon. You didn't catch the 19th. What was that play drawn up to be?
That play was drawn up for Aaron Green, the toe tap in the back of the end zone. Yeah.
Aaron, when you saw that ball tipped, what was the first thing on your mind?
Like I said, it was crazy because I wasn't really supposed to be over there. I'm so used to Josh catching everything. But, you know, our coaches, they always preach follow the ball, man. So I saw the ball. It was a little too high, and I was already in the area. So I was, you know, like, this is my chance to win the game for our team. And, you know, that's what I did.
And Josh had those 18 grabs, over 260 yards. You're now with the Washington Redskins, playing in the Big 12. How does that prepare a wide receiver for the next level?
I mean, well, usually defenses are deflated in the Big 12. So, I mean, you'll get your chances. You'll get your chance to, you know, have passes thrown your way. You just got to execute, make the most of it. But, yeah, I mean, it's helped me out mostly because of TCU offense. Coach Cumbie and Meach, how they came in and just reorganized it for us.
Your story is incredible. You're a walk-on. You started your playing career at Wyoming. You come to TCU. And there's actually a walk-on right now that I know you're very close to, in Daniel Walsh. He actually accompanied you to the NFL draft when you were taken in the first round by the Redskins. What has been your advice to Daniel now that he's a walk-on and got that first start last year?
I mean, like you said, man, I see Daniel. That's me. That's me walking right there. His heart, his passion for the game, it just his humbleness, how he carries himself. And, you know, I took him to the draft because I wanted him to see it, man. You could be here if you wanted to, man. I was where you were at, and just hard work, dedication, and prayer, man. You'll get where you're supposed to be at.
Aaron, you started your career at Nebraska playing for Coach Gary Patterson. What's that like?
It's a humbling experience, man. Coach Patterson, he's taught me so much about the game, but even more so about life. And he set such a strong culture here at TCU. And you have so much pride about the university and about the program that you take into the next level, man. That you never back down, you always fight, and no matter what, man, you give it your all.
Gentlemen, great seeing you. Best of luck in the pros and outstanding careers here.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Great to hear from two TCU greats who put together one of the wackiest final plays an offense will run for a long time in this series, as Texas Tech is driving the ball well for the first time today. They had a pretty good drive the first time they owned possession, but a turnover ended that drive. And Justin Stockton is in as the tailback after the fumble from DeLeon Ward, as Tipa Galii made the stop, the sophomore defensive end.
The key in what you said, Jason, is Texas Tech is driving the football. TCU wants to force them to drive the football, prove that they can be efficient enough to drive the football in order to get points. And in that first drive, we saw that the first two drives, we saw that that wasn't the case. Without the big play, where does Texas Tech set?
This is a run for Mahomes, and he can't shirk the tackle. He's down, and that'll do it for the first quarter from here in Fort Worth. The defense for the Horned Frogs pitching a shutout against Pat Mahomes and Texas Tech.
Welcome back to Fort Worth, where TCU leads Texas Tech 7-0. Two quarterbacks that run high-scoring offenses. Mahomes has a huge arm, as does Kenny Hill. Mahomes avoids the rush, unlike most people in the country at that position, leads to big plays. A run threat in the run game for TCU is Kenny Hill, and questionable decision-making. We've already seen a little bit of that out of Pat Mahomes. So far, so good for Kenny Hill. These offenses obviously have more to say here this afternoon.
Just 56 total yards for Mahomes in the first quarter, only 6.5% of his output from last week. Mahomes on the scramble. He is so dangerous there, and he shows the ball to the marker for a first down inside the 40. They needed 8 and got 9. The best team on third down in the country.
You can't let Pat Mahomes do that. Nothing outside the pocket in that first quarter. TCU defensively was immaculate in terms of setting an edge and keeping Mahomes inside.
DeLeon Ward had the earlier fumble, and he is tripped up by Sammy Douglas after a gain of 4. Second down. So Texas Tech, which set a bundle of FBS records last week in a loss to Oklahoma, has been held down pretty well so far.
TCU is doing a lot of different things, actually kind of West Virginia-esque defensively. Rushing 3 a lot of times and dropping 8, which forms a lot of clutter on the back end out of Texas Tech's empty set, putting 5 wides into the route right now.
Mahomes to Ward, who came out of the backfield, and he is doused at the 34. Another third down coming up. Denzel Johnson knocked him down. College football playoff rankings are coming out this week, Tuesday, and the chairman of the committee happens to be the athletic director at Texas Tech, and he will join us later. Kirby Hocutt, the chairman of the College Football Playoff Selection Committee, will be downstairs with Paul Carcaterra later on this afternoon. For now, his Red Raiders have a third down. They have been brilliant on third down so far today. Mahomes lofting it down the middle. Touchdown! Reggie Davis, a 34-yard strike.
Reggie Davis beats Julius Lewis deep. That's when Mahomes is dangerous, when he avoids a little bit of pressure, steps up in the pocket or gets outside, and he wants to grab you by the throat. He wants to throw the ball deep, as he does right there to Davis, who gets over top of Lewis on that deep post route late down the middle.
Clayton Hatfield, the extra point. Davis was a big touchdown maker last year. He had 12 receiving touchdowns last season. This is just his second. It comes from Patrick Mahomes, and we are even from Fort Worth. The unbeatens are dwindling in college football. The rankings will come out, and they won't include West Virginia, a loss in the Big 12 on the road earlier today by 17 at Oklahoma State. And 2 teams that won't be in the playoff, but certainly are jockeying for bowl position. And the offenses have started to come to life in a 7-7 tie from Fort Worth. So Texas Tech on the drive gets Patrick Mahomes to go 4 for 4, 62 yards. He had a 9-yard run on 3rd and 8, and that moved the sticks to allow for the touchdown to Reggie Davis. TCU will get it back from the 25-yard line. The chairman of the College Football Playoff Committee, Kirby Hocutt, is downstairs with Paul Carcaterra.
Well, thank you, Jason. Kirby, big day Tuesday, right? Tuesday night. The rankings are released on our air on ESPN, but we've had 9 weeks of college football. So what's been the focus leading up to today in regards to watching football for you and that committee?
Well, we've got 12 members of the College Football Selection Committee, and all of us have been preparing on our own, watching all the games, looking at the data and statistics, and we're looking forward to Monday and Tuesday coming together for the first rankings of this season.
For you personally, describe what a typical week is watching college football.
Well, for me, I'm always at our game on a Saturday and commit Saturday, Sundays, and some of Mondays and Tuesdays on catching up to all the action, watching games, looking at the data. And starting this week, we'll be arriving in Dallas on Sunday night. Spend Monday and Tuesday with the selection committee. So it's an exciting time of the year for all of us.
When the viewers step away on Tuesday night after the show, they will be able to tell that the committee valued or prioritized what?
Well, I think overall team performance, and our focus, our mission is simple. That's to rank the top 25 teams and select the four very best teams for inclusion into the semifinals. So I think it's a combination of what we see on the fields and their performance over the 7, 8, 9 games, however many times they've played this year.
Big day. Before I let you go, you got to tell me, who do you have as 1, 2, 3, and 4?
Tune in Tuesday night. We'll look forward to the show.
Thank you, Kirby. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Kirby spent some time with our programming department. That's what we call a tease in the industry.
No kidding, that was quite a tease. He's new at this. Jeff Long got booted apparently, and Kirby's in, and he's already taken over.
Jeff Long did a great job. It's a rotating spot.
Fantastic job. I know, it was tongue-in-cheek. I had dinner with Jeff at one of our seminars, and he educated me greatly on the process. But he's a hard act to follow, to be quite honest with you. He did a tremendous job.
Well, the good news for TCU right now is that Kyle Hicks is back in. He went out of the opening drive, and the multifaceted running back gets it again as he's toppled by Malik Jenkins. 2nd down and 6, TCU.
And Kyle Hicks is the take the air out of the ball guy and keep it away from Patrick Mahomes. And the more touches 21 gets as he's coming off the field right now. But it's good to see him back out there. But the run game needs to be certainly a viable part of the game plan for Doug Meacham and Sonny Cumbie here today.
The 76th best rush game in the country statistically. As Johnson is back in as the tailback, Hicks is out, and Kenny Hill takes it himself, veering through traffic, and Hill has a first down. Nifty run by Kenny Hill. It's a gain of 11.
And Kenny Hill's feet, I think, to some extent, are underrated in this offense. Sometimes a good decision results in this. Nothing open down the field, 3-man rush, drop 8, and 8 sometimes in zone coverage leaves seams that Kenny Hill can exploit like he did right there.
Remember his first game at Texas A&M, 511 yards at South Carolina. He burst onto the scene, ended up getting benched after a 3-game losing streak, had some off-field troubles as well. But according to the Texas Tech coaches, he has absolutely grown up. He's been nothing of a problem here, and he's settled into the starting job quite well.
You know, and he's in charge of communicating the system out on the field. So he has a lot of verbiage before the snap, and then his job is to distribute the football. Sometimes the decision is you keep it yourself, and he did on the play before.
This is Kevontae Turpin. They call him Turp Touches, and he zigzags through the defense on a rather electric Turp touch. 1st and goal, TCU.
5'9", $150. We see a Texas Tech player down, but try to catch this guy out in a windstorm. He blows about, and you have a hard time getting a hand on him, let alone getting him to the ground. That's the first time we've seen the Turp touch here today, and it was an exciting one.
Turpin in motion. Green is hit in the backfield, and Green is dropped by Braden Fajoko, the former Under Armour All-American, for a loss of 2.
Fajoko does a great job of reading the polar. When the guy in front of you pulls, you basically get in his hip pocket, and he's going to lead you to the play, and that's exactly what happened. Fajoko just blew that up before that play could get started outside.
They'll go empty. Kenny Hill to Anderson, and he dropped the ball. Darius Anderson had it clang off his hands. 3rd and goal.
And that's the 3rd drop. That was Anderson that particular time. Taj Williams has 2 of them. And TCU has seen too much of that offensively. That's where there's a little inefficiency. Not completing the play and sustaining the drive. That's a big one right there.
Anderson out. Olanolua is in. He's been the 3rd down back today. Texas Tech jamming the box. 4 wide for TCU, and Hill on the lob and way too much. He wanted Ty Slanina. Johnson on the coverage, and 4th down as TCU is bogged down twice near the red zone. You can kick the field goal, right?
Yeah, I think you kick the field goal in a couple of nice series for TCU, or for Texas Tech defensively. Remember, after that turnover on the Mahomes fumble, the missed field goal, that Texas Tech didn't give up any points. And right here, more and more, college football is about not what you do between the 20s, but what you do in the red zone and on 3rd down, and Texas Tech survived this one.
Hatfield missed from 37 earlier. He drills this one from 23. This beautiful campus in Fort Worth has the home team leading by 3 in the first half. In the You Learn Something New Every Day department, the Fort Worth Stockyards are the last standing stockyard in the United States. Operated since 1866 in the historic district in Fort Worth. And TCU has taken a 10-7 lead on a field goal from Brandon Hatfield. Texas Tech, a team that has 5 games this year out of 7 in which they've scored 28 or more in the first half, and this is a bloop kick that was barely rescued right around the 30 as a fake by Mahomes, and he's to the 35. How great was Frank Caliendo on game day?
He was tremendous. Yeah, he was very, very good.
He does an outstanding Morgan Freeman.
John Gruden just cracks me up. I mean, he's better than Gruden is at being Gruden. I don't know how that's possible. That was a broken play by Pat Mahomes, by the way. That was going to be a draw, and he missed the handoff and then had to run it himself and got 2 out of nothing.
So 2nd and 8 for Mahomes, and a quick set leads to a completion across the 40 to Tony Brown. Kark?
Patrick Mahomes certainly more involved in this offense. First time he hasn't been playing baseball in the offseason, and it's paid off in terms of his instincts, his awareness of the playbook. Also spent some time this summer at the Manning Passing Academy as a counselor, and Peyton Manning told him, if you're not taking notes, Patrick, you're not dissecting film and you're not getting it. So he has 2 notebooks at all times. I spoke to him this week, one at the facility, one at his apartment.
Okay. Pressure coming this time. Free runner. Mahomes hit as he throws, and he gets it up anyway for Cameron Batson inside the 25-yard line. They had a bunch of those last week against Oklahoma.
I mean, it's that kind of stuff. When the ball is in the air this long, TCU cannot allow Texas Tech to come down with it.
Mahomes, incomplete. Boy, Sammy Douglas was right in his face on that long pass inside the 25, and Mahomes hung in there well.
Mahomes has the ability to kind of throw from awkward places. Guys in his face, out on the edges, running around for 5 seconds, throwing a little bit off platform, off balance, and he typically gets the ball where he wants it. It's unbelievable.
Mahomes shuffles his feet and throws into twin coverage. It's 3rd down coming up for the Red Raiders. Jonathan Giles, bracketed in part by Sammy Douglas.
Yeah, Sammy Douglas did a great job. He's one of the 2 linebackers in. 3 down linemen, 2 linebackers, and 6 defensive backs. 3 of those defensive backs are safeties, and Douglas did a good job of squeezing the route.
Texas Tech loves using the trips formation. They have 3 at the top on 3rd down and 10. Mahomes with time. Out of the pocket. Mahomes, eyes upfield toward the end zone. Incomplete, too much. Giles again, the intended target. And 4th down as Traven Howard was in on the coverage.
Traven Howard, a strong outside linebacker. He's more like a strong safety, covering Giles clear down in the end zone. And once again, Mahomes does get outside the pocket. The TCU held up in coverage really well. In particular, Traven Howard deep in the end zone on a go-to receiver with 11 touchdown passes on the year.
Clayton Hatfield's long for the year is 43. This is a 42-yard kick to tie the ball game. It is up for Hatfield, and it's good. Halftime score, we're tied at 10. The Red Raiders and the Horned Frogs, Chris Hassel, Jonathan Vilma, Butch Davis are in studio. They've got the Dave & Buster's halftime report. The defenses have won the day in Fort Worth. A game that's bounced back and forth is a 10-10 tie at the break from Amon Carter Stadium. Thanks for joining us once again, Jason Benetti, Kelly Stauffer. We told you off the top, these teams average 86 points per game, and it's been a discombobulated offensive first half.
That is a good word. I think you're exactly right. I think shoddy offense to some extent, but I think really good defensive plans, forcing both offenses to be efficient, and they weren't able to do it consistently in that first half.
We'll re-examine the first half coming up, but first downstairs, Paul Carcaterra.
Patrick has to calm down. He's trying to do too much. That's what Cliff Kingsbury just told me moments ago. He said TCU's throwing so many different looks at him defensively, it's hard for them to get in the sync. They have to figure something out. He is pleased about his defense, though. Last week was a disaster against Oklahoma. They couldn't tackle in space. They couldn't do really anything correctly. But this week, much more improvement on that side of the ball. He said they're disciplined with their eyes, and they're making the tackles in space, and that is critical against any offense in this conference.
Hey, Kark, you know what it resembles is West Virginia's game plan actually against both of these offenses. Held 1 to 10 and 1 to 17, and that's what Gary Patterson is doing defensively. Three-man box a lot of times, two linebackers or three-man defensive line, two linebackers, and dropping a bunch of clutter and forcing Mahomes to be patient.
TCU gets it out of halftime, and that drive will start from the 25 as we take a look at our Pacific Life game summary 30 minutes in. Turnovers were a problem for the Red Raiders early.
Yeah, Pat Mahomes throws the ball up in the air, which he's prone to do, and typically good things happen, but that was a great interception right there for TCU early. Puts the ball on the ground right there, and if you put the ball on the ground twice, or turn it over twice, they just simply have a lot less points, but TCU hasn't been efficient either. Miscommunication, quarterback to receiver, not efficient running the football, and I think this second half, TCU needs to make a concerted effort to run the ball and do it more effectively.
Against a very Civ-like Texas Tech defense historically this year. This is a strong run from Travaris Johnson, who's in for Kyle Hicks, who only carried the ball 3 times in that first half. And for the defensive coordinator, David Gibbs for Texas Tech, who we talked to earlier this week, we said, who stood out, who graded out well for you in that game last week against Oklahoma? He said nobody.
Nobody. Exactly right. And I think TCU has to run the ball for 2 reasons. I think Texas Tech isn't very good up front at stopping the run, but the more you possess the ball against Texas Tech, the less touches Patrick Mahomes and company get. That's a great defensive game plan against Mahomes, is your own offense possessing it and particularly running the football successfully.
Hill pulls it back and goes with a line drive down to the 42-yard line to Taj Williams, who had a couple drops in that first half.
Yeah, I think there were 3 total drops by wide receivers in that first half, and that's part of the inefficiency that I talked about. Those RPOs, run pass options, runs not there, you pull it, and you have to have a gimme outside. That's the decision the quarterback makes.
Taj Williams, who had a 210-yard day against Oklahoma this year, and Texas Tech's line gets stout. Braden Fehoko was in on the play along with Andre Pipkins, and TCU has a decision to make.
I think they have to punt this ball away. They punted it 3rd or 4th and 3 in plus territory in that first half when I thought they should have gone for it. This, I think, is a misread by Kenny Hill. I think this is a keep read by the quarterback, and you have to take it around the edge. When that defensive end, when his shoulders get perpendicular to the line of scrimmage, you have to take the ball around him.
And this is going to go for a fake. And a first down. Nunez on the fake punt. Just short of the plus 40-yard line. It's a gain of 18. Gutsy call from Gary Patterson.
I think this was a call more by Nunez. I think this is a green light play, Jason. Is you're going to rugby kick to the right, and if there's green grass, and if you're 100% sure you can convert, go ahead and do that. The shield is moving that way anyway. It's hard to tell whether that was called or not, but regardless, it was very well executed.
Tell you what, the fake punt is in vogue right now in college football. Kenny Hill to throw to the outside, incomplete. And one of those names is the current defensive coordinator for TCU. Chad Glasgow is not the play caller, but he's on Gary Patterson's staff.
And so what Clark said about surviving and not getting those takeaways, when you're surviving in terms of just trying to line up right and make a tackle, you're not worried about attacking the football. And that's what Texas Tech has resembled defensively this year.
Now Johnson talking to Hill in the backfield. Kenny Hill will throw. He wants the long ball. Single coverage toward the end zone. So hand fighting. And this is caught in the end zone and intercepted. Picked off by Texas Tech. Douglas Coleman out of Zachary, Louisiana, the freshman, yanks it down. So Texas Tech started with an offensive turnover and now has a big takeaway in the second half. Tie game. Founders Club Suites at Amon Carter Stadium consist of 6 total suites, each one individually sold for just $15 million and catered by our guy, the chef, John Bonnell.
John Bonnell has it going on. I'm going to tell you that right now.
I mean, the pregame spread here, quail, Black Forest cake. So Texas Tech with the ball from the 20-yard line. DeLeon Ward has been the bell cow today. A drive that included 10 runs last time starts for Texas Tech on this most recent drive of the run as well.
It's the Navy triple option breaking out from a shotgun formation. What is going on here?
I don't know about that. I don't know anybody's going to confuse Annapolis and Lubbock, at least playbook-wise right now. As that one is incomplete. It's officially called an incomplete pass. Very close, and in the ensuing action, we'll see if there's any official clear recovery just in case they want to review it.
Yeah, and TCU recovered it immediately after the apparent fumble, Sammy Douglas. This is Texas Tech's screen game, but this is their run game. And I think that was a forward pass, about 1.5 yards forward, rightly called on the field.
Kiki QT was the intended target. And so now, after a gain of 1 on the ground and an incomplete screen pass, it's 3rd down and 9 for Mahomes in the offense. He thought about taking off, now gets it to the sideline, well short to Ward. Bumped out of bounds by Traven Howard, the leading TCU tackler, and likely punt time for Texas Tech.
And a great series after a difficult turnover by TCU offensively. Gary Patterson's defense comes out and plays 3 really textbook plays.
A Texas Tech team that last week put up 854 yards of total offense has been held to 250 today by the Horned Frogs. Barden drops it, and Barden gets drilled inside the 15-yard line. Sammy Douglas got in there and lit him up. A huge turn of events for TCU.
Kyle Heffron is the snapper, and quite frankly, the snap couldn't have been any better. It hits Barton right on the hip pocket, which is where it should be. And so many times, the little things. If you have an opportunity to touch the football, it's about eyes on the football first, whether you're the quarterback, the running back, the receiver, or in this case, a punter.
Foster Sawyer is the quarterback for TCU. Kenny Hill is out, so the sophomore out of Fort Worth is in to play quarterback, and he will throw on his first touch to the sideline. He's got Daniel Walsh just short of the 5-yard line. Sawyer 4 for 6 for the year with his 7th pass as a completion.
I would assume this was predetermined before TCU knew they were going to inherit the ball deep in the red zone, but they go with the plan, and they feel like Sawyer is ready for this opportunity.
In for Kenny Hill.
Gary Patterson said after last week he wishes he would have played Sawyer to the end of the last game.
Johnson picking his way across the 5. It's 1st and goal, TCU. Winding down to the end of the 3rd quarter.
You know, Jason, TCU has to find a way to finish in the red zone. Kyle Hicks was hurt early in this game. We saw him limp off, and he was their drive finisher. And it isn't easy to close out drives without that guy.
That will be the end of the 3rd quarter. Foster Sawyer and his 28 career passing attempts and 1 start in Norman last year is the man to navigate the offense after the turnover. TCU driving when we come back. First rankings coming out Tuesday. We officially have a thriller here in Fort Worth. Tied at 10, 15 on the clock. TCU driving. 1st and goal from the Texas Tech 4. Foster Sawyer, the reserve quarterback, is in. And Johnson on the run, trying to reach for the goal line. He's down at the 1. Taylor Nunez with the tackle. 2nd and goal. Johnson again. To the goal line. Touchdown! Travaris Johnson scores.
Getting points off that botched punt obviously was important, but the interesting thing is who is at quarterback during that play? Foster Sawyer comes in and closes it out.
Short field. Hatfield, the extra point is good, and the special teams play leads to the touchdown.
And Michael Barton just drops this one, takes his eyes off the ball just a little bit, and TCU, most importantly, gets points off of that turnover.
TCU off the short field. Foster Sawyer gets him in the end zone. In for Kenny Hill on what looked to be a decision based somewhat on performance at quarterback for TCU. This kick heads into the end zone, and Texas Tech will have it from the 25. 1st down, Texas Tech. Mahomes, he's been sacked 4 times. This one, he flings to the sideline, and Gary Patterson.
That was a nice catch. Coach P got his hands up well, formed the triangle.
Is he an inside receiver or an outside receiver?
I think he's an inline receiver. I think you better keep him blocking most of the time. Once in a while, throw him a bone like that one.
Longtime head coach here, 16th season taking over for Dennis Franchione, who departed for Alabama early in the 2000s. Patrick Mahomes on 2nd down. Having to read the defense all day long. Now he uses his legs, and Mahomes is dragged down short of the line to gain. 3rd and short. Traven Howard got there first, and now Texas Tech with 7:20 to go has a big 3rd down.
Well, and we've seen that Texas Tech is much more willing to run the ball against favorable defensive run looks, so you would assume that they will do that right here.
16 carries today for the freshman DeLeon Ward. 3rd down 2. And they do run it for the 1st down. DeLeon Ward, and this offense continues to move the ball. Bradley the tackle, gain of 4. Under 7 minutes to go, and Texas Tech has morphed before our eyes, Kelly.
It's hard to imagine, but with the 5-man box consistently, Right, TCU defensively, Cliff Kingsbury has been much more willing to run the ball in this second half than we've seen him all year.
They passed it 88 times last week against Oklahoma in the loss. Today, they've passed it 35 times as Aaron Curry dumps Ward after a short gain. Well, the demise of the college football defense has been greatly exaggerated today.
That was part of the therapy for me coming here to TCU, is Gary Patterson was going to come up with something. He better come up with something on this drive right here.
5 times the last 16 years, the top defense in the country has resided in Fort Worth, Texas. Under 6 to play. Texas Tech will run it again, and it's 3rd down as Boson got the hit this time after a gain of 4.
And this is 3rd and about 4, a little bit out of the run wheelhouse for Texas Tech. I would assume that they would put the ball in the air right here. 37 rushes and 36 passes.
Unreal. Felton is hit.
Never would have imagined that, Jason, coming into today.
DeMarcus Felton, the tailback. He gets the pitch. Felton trips. 4th down and about 3 coming up. You got to go for it, right?
Yeah, the speed option out on the edge, and Felton had it if he just keeps his feet.
4th down 3. 1 possession game. A lot of time, play clock at 14. Game clock under 5. Mahomes to throw. Mahomes out of the pocket. And he's got the first down. He got cavalier with the ball, but made it across the 35, 1st down.
And that's the one player that's difficult to defend regardless of the defense you run. Matt Boson had a chance at him out on the edge and couldn't get him to the ground.
Mahomes, who had been wearing a knee brace today, now trips up at the 25-yard line, just short of it. And L.J. Collier credited with the tackle. So after the illegal substitution, that was 1st and 5, and Mahomes is ready to snap the ball. He does, and hands it off. And Ward chopped down by Galliai. He had an alley that time. It's 1st down, Texas Tech.
TCU making substitutions on the defensive line of scrimmage. Playing a little pace right here. Up tempo is Pat Mahomes and company for Texas Tech, and defensive line of scrimmage got a little gas for TCU.
27th best red zone team for touchdowns in the country. Texas Tech needs a touchdown to tie. 3.5 to go. Mahomes flips it out wide inside the 15-yard line. Reggie Davis, who has the only touchdown today for Texas Tech.
Yeah, the run pass option going outside. TCU doing a decent job of defending up inside, and the run pass option takes Mahomes outside.
What's your play call here?
Well, with the run pass option game that Texas Tech likes, you really have the best of both worlds anytime you want it. Run inside. If you don't like what the defense, how they react to the run, you pull it and get it outside in the pass form.
It's in the hands of the total offense leader in the country. Patrick Mahomes shoved back, stonewalled short of the line to gain by Nico Small and Traven Howard. 3rd down, 2:45 to go.
And that was a design quarterback run. There was a puller after the fake to be a personal escort for the quarterback.
Goes with DeLeon Ward, and the freshman has a 1st down and goal, Texas Tech.
That 3rd down was much different than typically they are on 3rd down. Coming into this year, they needed actually, what was it, 8 yards, over 8 yards per 3rd down attempt. But now that they're running the ball, they're in 3rd and manageable much more than they're actually used to being at.
1st and goal. Moving down to 2 minutes left. Mahomes, Ward as a blocker. Mahomes snowed under. Barely any gain. Issa Haku, the tackle. It's 2nd down and goal. 2 timeouts, Texas Tech.
And I think as far as clock management, that's the key. You have 2 timeouts in your pocket. You basically don't want to leave any time for the opposing offense to do anything with it. So you let it run down a little bit, manage the clock with 2 timeouts.
If you don't have any time, though, and you don't get this touchdown, then you've injured yourself by bleeding the clock down.
Yeah, you're all in right now, Jason. You have to get this in the end zone.
Mahomes to throw over the middle. Touchdown! Dylan Cantrell for Texas Tech. Do you go for 2?
I think Cliff Kingsbury is happy to try to send this into overtime. 1:28 left. TCU, on the other hand, has 2 timeouts. They're playing a youngster now at quarterback and Forrest Sawyer, so it'll be interesting to see what approach they take. But point after touchdown is not automatic anymore in college football.
Clayton Hatfield to tie the ball game out of the hold of Cameron Batson. Hatfield is good. A 6-minute, 44-second drive. Unread Raider-like. The result, though, is very much what they normally get in Lubbock. Tie game. Here in Fort Worth, we have a brilliant game. 17 all, 128 to go, and TCU will have it off the touchdown from Mahomes to Cantrell. The very dangerous Cavante Turpin back to receive. This is Turpin from inside the 5. Turpin has an alley. Turpin got spun around. Oh boy, that could have gone as we check in with Kark.
Well, for the last 10 minutes, I've been watching Jonathan Song, 46 in purple, the place kicker. He's the only one who's been warming up. Brandon Hatfield missed a couple, so if he goes in, he's going to be ice cold. It's been all Song. And I also saw some dialogue between Foster Sawyer and Kenny Hill Jr. Kenny Hill just went up to him and said, "Let's go." This is the biggest drive of Foster Sawyer's life.
It's coming right now. And Song, by the way, was injured in the preseason. He was scheduled to be the kicker as Turpin gets this touch. Cavante Turpin reversing field, gets a block from Sawyer, and Turpin gets the penalty yardage back. Nelson knocked him down to 1:01 to go. 2 timeouts each. Turpin down and now back up. Clock moving from the 32. Sawyer, who'd thrown 6 passes all year before this second half, looking for Williams, and that was a gash play waiting to happen. He missed.
And Sawyer had to go from one side of the field to the other, and then he finds Williams open in the middle of the field. If this ball is on time and on target, Williams runs up the right hash and might still be running. And that's just a matter of getting your feet in conjunction with your eyes.
Johnson, on the same play that came back with a penalty, has a first down across the 40. 2 timeouts, 30 seconds to go. TCU will hustle to the line when the ball is spotted. The clock will run. From the 38, 1 timeout left for Sawyer. The sophomore hangs in the pocket, has a tip ball. It's incomplete. Johnson nearly plucked it from the sky to set up Texas Tech.
And Justin Nelson had the first tip on it, I believe. This was intended to Stewart over the middle of the field, and this is exactly the throw that you don't want the youngster making in this situation. If it's not clean, don't throw it.
Jenkins and Johnson had a shot at it. 2nd down, 15. Clock is the enemy for TCU. They rush 4. He whips it out to Williams. Taj Williams right near the marker, and they will give him the first down to stop the clock. 10 seconds left. Clock will move when the ball is set. 1 timeout left. Got to spike it here. Sawyer does so. 9 seconds on the clock. And again, we don't know what field goal range is for the formerly injured Jonathan Song. We know Hatfield has missed twice today from inside of 40.
And 1 timeout left with 9 seconds. You can play the middle of the field between the hashes, but you have to instruct your guys, if you get the ball there, if you can't get it into the end zone, you have to get down quickly and call a timeout in the middle of the field.
From the 46, Sawyer taking time, and now he throws it out of bounds. 3 seconds left. What do you do on this final play?
You throw it in the end zone. I think you drop back and hope something good happens. The ball's tipped in the air. I think Sawyer can get this ball all the way into the end zone, but pass interference, something like that. They have trips to the right side. Typically, you buy some time, and then you throw it basically as far as you can.
Sawyer in relief of Hill. Final play, tie game. Sawyer looking for the end zone. This is incomplete, and we will go to overtime. Justice Nelson got his hands on it, and Texas Tech comes back to force at least one extra period.
This isn't actually very well executed by Foster Sawyer. He didn't buy enough time to allow his receivers to even get down into the end zone, plant their feet, and become jumpers. Look at their receivers are still trying to get to the end zone because their quarterback didn't buy enough time to allow their receivers to get down there. Not well executed by Foster Sawyer.
4 years ago, these two teams played 3 overtimes, 56-53 the final in that one. Bonus football coming your way. 17-17 to overtime. The focal point, the 25-yard line now. Texas Tech has run for 118 today on an average of 97 for the year. Mahomes in the offense. To Ward out of the backfield. DeLeon Ward across the 20-yard line, hit by Howard and Boson, and a nice start for Texas Tech, 8-9.
And that's typically Texas Tech's run game right there. It's a multiple screen game. They bounce it outside with the quick pass.
Freshman DeLeon Ward, who had 13 career carries coming in, gets another one here. And he meanders to the 15-yard line, first down on his 22nd carry of the day.
22nd carry of the day. We didn't think we were running back for Texas Tech, believe you me.
Those are Byron Hanspard numbers for DeLeon Ward. Remember, no game clock in overtime. Mahomes, who led a touchdown drive late in the fourth quarter to tie this game. He throws it, and that was a quail. Incomplete. Looking for Giles, second down.
And that was the run-pass option. Not much of a run fake up inside, but as you get that overhang defender, you invite him off the edge into the box a little bit to become a run defender, and then you try to hit Giles on that quick seam, but that was just poorly thrown. So many times, Mahomes doesn't get his feet right, but his arm talent is so good that typically it doesn't matter. That time it did.
Empty this time on second down for Mahomes.
Don't forget about Mahomes running the football.
Mahomes scanning. Now he tucks it. There he goes. Mahomes, touchdown! Oh, 15-yard run.
Jason, that's a product of TCU having to be so disciplined in coverage to glue to their receivers respectively, and then sometimes there just simply aren't enough bodies to check the quarterback, and Mahomes will make you pay for that.
What a time for the first lead today for Texas Tech. Extra point good for Clayton Hatfield.
Great coverage on the back end for TCU, but the problem is when you're gluing to a receiver, your eyes are on him. You're coverage guys, and there's no one to become run defenders when Mahomes breaks the pocket. And he's very good at doing that. Typically, he's much better at being elusive with the desire to buy more time to make big plays in the pass game, but that time he gashed him in the run game.
The rushing touchdown leader in the Big 12 does it again.
Yeah, and just look at the coverage in the back end. That is beautiful in coverage initially. It breaks down when your quarterback breaks you down.
So now my question to you is, who's TCU quarterback ideally on this drive?
I think that decision was made when Foster Sawyer went into the game. Remember, this isn't a decision based on now. It's a decision based on all of the practice time they've seen both quarterbacks. Kenny Hill was ineffective, even though he's more experienced, but it's now Foster Sawyer's time to see if he can ride.
5 for 13 today for Sawyer. He will throw. That's high and incomplete. He wanted Jalen Austin second down.
You said it during the break when we were talking about this. Essentially, there isn't really any good decision. Your most veteran quarterback in Kenny Hill has not been effective. And this throw is just errant because your young quarterback doesn't set his feet and throw an accurate pass.
Paul Banks nearly had an interception. Turpin in motion, empty for Sawyer. Second down, Sawyer launches, end zone, and this ball is caught! Touchdown! Desmond White, what a play! We'll see if it stands. He beat Coleman to the football.
Foster Sawyer rips a dime down the field. And White appears to come down with it. I'm not so sure that's a catch.
Question is, when does he have control of that football?
Yeah, it's feet in and control. And that ball looked like it was moving as it went up to his left shoulder. If White catches it initially, I think he's good. I don't feel good about it after that.
You know, the ball can move, but you have to have control of the football first.
Yeah, and you have to have established yourself in bounds, and I don't know that those two things happened at the right time. And Douglas Coleman did a nice job of breaking up the basket, which means that the ball has to come into a place that's catchable for the receiver. And as the defender, once you see that, you try to mess with that area, that basket. They call it breaking the basket, and I think Douglas Coleman might have been successful on that play.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
Yeah, stands. Not enough evidence to overturn it. Touchdown, TCU.
And I think rightly done by the replay officials. It just wasn't indisputable video evidence. So it's all about the way it's called on the field. And remember, point after touchdowns, the extra point, Miami, Florida State might come to your mind. This isn't automatic anymore in this game.
Nunez will hold. Hatfield, who's missed 2 field goals, will kick. It is up, and we will play a second overtime.
That was a tremendous hold by Adam Nunez. That ball was behind him to the left, and he got the spot down to a kicker in Brandon Hatfield that isn't exactly a confident guy right now.
These offenses average 86 points a game. We went to overtime, deadlocked at 17. Here they come. Both teams are in. Second overtime around the corner. I don't know how they're going to top this one, though. Second overtime, tied at 24, TCU and Texas Tech, thanks to a beautiful grab by Desmond White.
Desmond White, and this was reviewed extensively. Watch the left foot drag right there. The toe is on the ground. The ball is possessed on the left shoulder pad. And then he takes it to the ground. And the hold by Adam Nunez, this ball is behind him with a kicker that hasn't exactly been confident. That was a great hold by Nunez right there.
So TCU has it first in this second overtime, and the big play threat, Kavontae Turpin, back from injury this week, is in the backfield. Turpin takes it off Sawyer's hand and gets ridden out of bounds after a short gain by the middle linebacker Jordan Brooks. Foster Sawyer in for Kenny Hill in the second half. Sawyer has thrown now 15 passes today.
And that last one, touchdown to White, was by far the best ball he's thrown today. That was a confident stroke, and he dropped it right exactly where he needed to.
Second down 8. Hunt, the tight end, in motion. Sawyer backpedaling, and he throws it out of bounds off his back foot. Third down.
And Cole Hunt, that you talked about, is the tight end or an H-back type of guy, and he's typically in there to add a hat to the run game. This time it was a play-action pass, trying to get into the end zone with the pass, and Cole Hunt was maybe the chief target on a wheel route.
Third down with a dicey kicking game for TCU. 2 misses of field goals today. Kyle Hicks, the running back, injured. The pass and run threat is out. Sawyer throws it incomplete over the middle. No marker shows its face. Fourth down, what do?
You have to kick a field goal right here. I don't think there's any question about it. I know the condition of the kicker right now, Brandon Hatfield, may not be ideal, but trying to get 3 on the board is the thing to do.
This is a 40-yard field goal for Brandon Hatfield. His long this year is 37. Hatfield, that is no good. Texas Tech celebrates and only needs a field goal to win this game.
Coach Patterson was between a rock and a hard place because it was 4th and long, and yet you have a kicker that is fragile of mind, and this ball wasn't even close to being struck well. That thing was knuckled completely out of the way, and Cliff Kingsbury knows what that means. His team just needs 3 to win it.
We started this game with 2 quarterbacks, the sons of major league pitchers, and that was a Tim Wakefield effect from Hatfield. Texas Tech needs only a field goal. How do you play this? We'll find out. Mahomes will run. He slams on the brakes and takes the hit.
I think that's your answer right there. That was a really, really conservative play. Certainly no need to throw the ball into harm's way and keep the ball in Mahomes' hand. He's your best player. Force him to make good decisions, and at the end of the day, you just need one to go through the pipes.
Cliff Kingsbury said he's comfortable 45 yards and in with Clayton Hatfield. On the ground, just short of the 20-yard line, DeLeon Ward. Ty Summers with the stop. It's third down, Texas Tech. Do you dare put it in the air?
No. I think you run it again, and this would be, what, a 37-yarder if it was kicked right here.
They are on the hash mark, worth noting. Mahomes may try to drag it to the middle of the field. DeLeon Ward, the tailback. It is Mahomes deciding to find the middle of the field. Howard the tackle, and here is the game. Clayton Hatfield, the Texan sophomore, on to kick. Cameron Batson, the wide receiver, will hold. Mahomes dinged up on the sideline. Hatfield for the win. Good! Texas Tech comes back to win on the road. What a game. It didn't look great, but it got there. And the Red Raiders come back to win. Their first lead was in overtime. 27-24 your final. Next on ESPN2, Tennessee and South Carolina. Mark Jones, Rod Gilmore have the call.